Damn, you hit the spot.
Tastes like sweet life. Ooh. It's been a while. I say this every time at this point. I'm a toxic lover. I keep making y'all promises and I keep saying I'm gonna be better. I'm saying I'm gonna do this and then I don't. That's my fault. That's my bad. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I mean it every time I say I'm sorry. It's just, y'all haven't really seen any change behavior from me. And I'm sorry. That's what I'm sorry about. I'm getting older. I started this channel, well, like, what's it like now, 5 years ago? I'm getting older. At the same time, even if I wasn't getting older, which is not possible, I'm growing, the channel's growing, and I want you guys to feel like you know me well, but not the old Kayla today. So I have a list of facts. Specifically chose a few facts that I felt like not many people know, or you would have to know me really, really well to know. So, fact number one, I love children. I don't really know that I've talked about that much here on this channel. I love children. I have always loved children since I was a child. My mom used to babysit. She ran a daycare, and the softness and the purity and the innocence and the vulnerability, it just, it means the world to me. It makes me want to cry every time I see a baby on social media or in real life. I just love them. I adore them. I love kids in general. But I also just like the idea of like youthfulness, having fun, being carefree. I don't really subscribe to a lot of the things that society pushes on us. You know, the whole idea of growing up and like, oh, you're an adult now, you can't do this, you can't do that. I'm not really into all that. I'm an advocate for growing up and being mature. But as far as like not playing because you're an adult, oh, we don't swim now, suddenly people don't play video games, all that stuff, like, no. Those are made up rules, and I just feel like that's not how my God intended for me to live my life. You want me to pay taxes, but I can't play in the dirt? No, thank you. Okay, here's a fun fact that I know nobody on here knows about. I am a hemophobe. I am hemophobic. I'm terrified of blood, needles, all things hospital and medical field related. I don't like looking at everything from like watching the movie Saw to seeing people get paper cuts on cartoons. I don't like it. I don't like it. And people are like, Kayla, it's obviously fake, but you know it's fake. I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, that's not how our brain works. That's not how your mirror neurons work. When your brain perceives something as real, and to me, it looks real. My brain processes it as real, and it bothers me. In real life, when things happen, like, just know that I'm not the person to go to. If something's going down, don't think Kayla's gonna help, because I'm probably passed out somewhere because I didn't, like, anxiety attack, panic attacks. Like, that's me. That's me. Like, when I cut my arm and I got this scar, I cut myself and I could see the flesh. Like, I could see the white, and there was actually, let me see if you can see here. You see, okay, right there, that vein, it went right through here. And when I cut myself, okay, I didn't cut myself on purpose. It sounds like I'm saying I cut myself. I was like shaking a porcelain cup and the handle broke off. And I like, but I accidentally, like, I still had the handle in my hand, and I pulled back my hand and I cut myself, and I split open, and I could see the flesh, and I could see my vein. And I remember just grabbing my hand, and I just started yelling for my mother, and I was like freaking out. And it didn't even bleed at first. I just sat there and looked at it in the flesh, and I was like, what am I looking at? And it took me a second to process, and once I did, I started freaking out. I remember another time I shut my finger in the door. I was going through it in middle school. I think I was in middle school at the time too. I shut my finger in the car door, and then I realized what had just happened, and I just looked at it, and I was like, Mom. And she ran over, and I like started to like almost pass out, and she had to catch me because I was about to be out. Because in my head, my finger is now split in half. Like, I shut my finger in the door, my finger split in half. Of course, that was not the case, but you know, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what to expect, and I was too afraid to open the door and let my finger out because I didn't want to see what was going on. Just like when I covered my wrist, I always close my eyes. I don't want to see. I don't want to think about it. I don't like hearing stories. I don't like seeing fight videos. I don't like seeing people getting slammed on the ground. I don't like seeing people get shot. I don't like getting shots. I don't like going to the doctor to get blood drawn. I have no idea how. One day I do plan to have kids, and I've not figured out how I'm going to cope with it mentally, or like go through the process of labor. I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. So yeah, that's me though. That's me. I am probably one of the girliest tomboys you will ever meet. Or maybe I'm the most tomboyish girly girl you'll ever meet. I think I am a girly girl at my core, but I have a bunch of tomboyish tendencies. What's interesting is I started off as a tomboy when I was a little girl. And I hated dresses, I hated all that stuff, but I always liked glitter. I always liked pink. I always liked having my nails done. But I liked to play sports and be in the dirt and climb trees, and I had scars all over my legs from scraping myself. I was just a tomboy. Now that I'm older, I'm very, very girly, and I am I'm starting to obsess over femininity. Love the idea of divine femininity, to be specific, to be soft, and to smell good. And I love candles. You'll almost never see me with my nails not done. I like flowers. I like just femininity. I love dresses now. I love heels, all that. Oh my god. But at the same time, I will run out to the front yard or the backyard during any cookout and play football with the boys. I'm not afraid to go out and learn how to work on my car and get my hands dirty. It's fine. But I like to look nice and pretty and feminine, girly, you know? So if you don't know me and you're new here, welcome to the channel. Femininity, yay. Hobbies, I'm sure you all know by now, I have a lot of hobbies. Actually, it's to the point where it complicates my life in a lot of situations. I try to divvy up my time in a way that allows me to practice all of them or give time to all of them. I said I try. I didn't say I succeed. But my top hobbies, stuff that I'm always talking about, I'm always doing, you'll always catch me doing: playing sports, dancing and singing, baking or cooking, studying psychology or human behavioral sciences, traveling, and learning languages. So that's a duh thing. Y'all already all know that about me. I thought my phone was ringing, then I had to pause. My phone's right here. Okay. Let's talk about the dream jobs that I've had. I've had really the same dream jobs. Don't mind me. When I do this, I'm trying to adjust my lips over that. Sometimes they get stuck and I have to fix it. So, well, if you see me do it, no you didn't. Okay? Since I was a little girl, I've really had the same dreams and the same jobs that I, in a perfect world, would have wanted, but this is very far from a perfect world, and life has made it very difficult for me to be able to achieve some of these things, along with the fact that, like I said, I have too many hobbies and interests. So it really is conflict of interest, because it's you want to go south, but you also want to go north, and you obviously can't do that. So number one was to be a professional athlete. I've always wanted to be a professional athlete. I always knew I wanted to run in the Olympics. My mom ran track. My dad did a little bit of track. And that came with being a sports model. I also wanted to be a sports model, but I tie that into all the same thing, all the same dream. Another thing I wanted to be was, yes, people know I like to dance and sing, but a lot of people don't know that I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to be in a girl group specifically. Growing up, TLC, SWV, Black, all that, I like that. I didn't ever really care for the idea of a solo act, a Mariah Carey type thing. If someone offered me both, I would have taken being in a girl group, because something about the idea of being in a girl group and having the different roles, this is the dancer, this is the rapper, this is the main singer, I like that. It's funny because whenever I talk about TLC, people assign me Chili, but I'm nah, I feel I give Left Eye vibes, actually. I don't know. T-Boz is actually my favorite, but I think I would be more I would be the left eye of the group. And I also wanted to be an actress. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave that at that. I don't want to get too deep into it, but just know that that was one of my dream jobs growing up. like everybody else, of course, but I don't talk about that often. Another thing I've always wanted to be is a spy. I used to ask my mom all the time when I was younger for spy gear or like a detective type of something. Like I always wanted to do that. I wanted to solve cases. I wanted to, that was, and I still do have an interest in that. I still would very much, if we're not gonna get into all the things, you know, growing up I realized a lot of things, like corruption in like law enforcement and politics and all that kind of stuff, which kind of led me to diverge from a lot of the dreams that I've once had. Just like the whole dreams of being an actress and like a singer and an entertainer, you know, the industry, growing up and realizing what it's really about and what really goes on, I was like, oh nah. And that's what I was saying earlier when I said society made it kind of hard for me to follow my dreams. But now that I'm a little bit older, when I was in college, I developed this new dream of traveling and getting paid to travel and getting paid to just live. Now that that's kind of a thing, like people literally wake up every day and get paid to live. Like YouTubers who wake up and just film their life, their everyday life, and get paid. Now that's a dream job. I would love to do that. I think we would all love to do that. A lot of you always comment on this, is my music taste. So I am 1000% an R&B enthusiast, more specifically 90s, early 2000s R&B enthusiast. People always ask me what artists do I listen to, and I'm like, I don't really listen to artists these days. Not that I don't listen to anything at all. Every once in a while, like I'll hear a song, of course, and I like it and it's whatever, but I don't listen to really anyone faithfully that is hot right now. I like Lauryn Hill, I like Michael Jackson, I like Aaliyah, TLC. Everybody, first of all, everybody on this wall, actually, not even talking about artists, talking about me in general. If you want to get to know me, all you got to do is look at this wall. For sure will tell you a lot. But again, I think y'all already know a lot of this about me. So. We don't do things, help me. Okay, thank you. New Jack Swing, SWV, Boys to Men, New Edition, that era. That's very, yes. Me that a lot of you probably know and a lot of you probably don't know is I am a nerd, and that's just for whatever reason. When I tell people are like, really? I'm like, yeah, I like this, or yeah, I do that, and they're like, really? And it's to the point where people think now girls like to talk about some of this stuff to be pick-me's, and I'm like, why do we need to be pick-me's? Like, we've been liking some of this stuff. I'm just a nerd. I like nerdy things. I like anime. I like gaming. I like sci-fi and like fantasy, stuff like that. I'm very just nerdy. Legend of Zelda, everybody knows I love Legend of Zelda. I love Dragon Ball Z. I consider myself a black nerd, and I love it. And those who don't love it, like, that's got nothing to do with me. It's fine. Well, like, there's this stigma behind liking anime or being into Japan or even being a gamer. But I like to think that I don't fit those stereotypes, but I don't love anime or gaming any less. I absolutely love gaming. I could spend a whole day on my Xbox. Yeah, Xbox is not even my favorite console. Growing up, like I said, I had 2 older brothers, so we had like every single console there was, or most of them. We weren't really big on PlayStation, but we had the GameCube, Super Nintendo.
We had the first Nintendo, we had Super Nintendo, we had a GameCube, we had a PlayStation, I had the Xbox 360, had a modded Xbox, the original Xbox modded. I had an Xbox One.
I got the Xbox One. We had the Wii. We had Nintendo 64. We had all that. So I've played games on all that. I'm still planning to get a Switch eventually. I'm gonna get me a Switch. Just wait. I just grew up playing video games with my siblings. There was 4 of us. So we played a lot of video games. And we watched a lot of anime. To this day, I still watch a lot of anime. Always have, always will. Another fact that you all probably don't know about me, a lot of people don't, is I'm not affectionate, but I'm also so affectionate. And it's weird because growing up, we just grew up in a household, you know, there are households, just like how there are cultures where people like everyone's always together, like in close proximity. They like to touch each other. They like to, you know. And then there are cultures and like groups of people who like, they like a lot of space. They're like, don't touch me. We don't do the huggy kissy thing. Like, that was our household. We didn't do a lot of that growing up. We didn't use a lot of words of affection and pet names and stuff like that. So me and my siblings, we don't say, ow, I love you, sister, and we don't hug each other. And people are, when I tell people, they're like, and I'm like, no, it's not like that. We love each other dearly. Obviously love each other. We're very close. We always have been. We just don't express our love like that. So y'all have seen me and my sister interact. Yeah, we don't express our love that way. Or like, if I were to say I miss you to one of my siblings, they'd be like, what are you talking about? Ew, shut up. Ugh. And then same for me, I'd be like, ew. And like, if they tried to hug me, like my brother before he went to Cali was trying to hug me, and I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So just growing up like that, I didn't learn how to express my affection the way that other people do. So when it got to the point where I was old enough to start like dating guys and talking to guys, like, I wasn't used to being touched. And like the hugging and like cuddling, all that, I had to get used to that. But I learned that I'm actually very affectionate, and I love that kind of stuff. But you have to, there's like a circle. You have to be in the circle first. Like, I trust you and I like you enough to be okay to do these things, like to speak to you a certain way, to express. Even then, I have difficulty expressing stuff sometimes, even if you were like my boyfriend. But like touching, I'm all for the hugging and the cuddling, and like, I'm very affectionate, and I've apparently always been. I just didn't know how to express it again the way other people express it, you know. Quick fun fact about me, this is kind of related, I guess that's why I wrote it next. I want a lot of kids. Growing up, I always knew I wanted 5 kids. I don't know now if that's going to happen, just because the way the economy's set up, but also because I don't think a lot of people also want that many kids. So, you know, I'm willing to negotiate with my man about that kind of stuff. We had 4 in our household, and that was a great number for me. For some reason, 5 was just a number that I picked growing up, and I'm still okay with having 5 kids. I know I don't want less than 3. I'm not willing to negotiate on. I'm not having less than 3. I want at least 3 kids. I would love 4 or 5. Okay, cool. Another interesting fact that probably not too many people know about me, I love the forest. I love greenery. That's my thing. So a lot of people, when you ask them like, oh, where would your dream destination be? People always say, I would love to live on the beach. I would love to live by the sea. I love rivers. I love the water. I love being on boats. I'm like, okay. And I don't hate those things. Obviously, I love the beach. But I like the forest. So I like forest sounds. I like greenery in general, plants, nature, trees. Just the idea of trees makes me happy. The idea of the summertime. One of the best feelings to me every year that I look forward to is springtime, when all the trees get their leaves back. I'm enamored. I live by a lot of trees, and I always have growing up, and I just love looking at it. I love looking at it. Like I said, when it comes to like that nerdiness in me, I like the idea of an enchanted forest with like the mushrooms and the little elves and the fairies, like Fern Gully. Like, love it. Love it. Last fact about me that a lot of you probably don't know. It's a little weird, but I'm very into combat. I don't know why, but I just always have been. And that kind of ties in, like I said earlier, when I said like I'm kind of a tomboy. And also I used to really want to be like a spy or like field agent kind of for like the FBI. Like, I like stuff like that. There were times where I considered going to the military just to go to boot camp, just to learn how to spar, just to learn how to wield a gun, to shoot a gun. I like the idea of like G.I. Joe crawling. I like the idea of combat. I like the idea of Krav Maga, self-defense classes. Like, and even when I was in college and I started boxing, I just wanted to train, and I kept telling my coach, he kept trying to get me to compete, and I was like, I don't want to compete. I just want to learn it. Like, I just like this kind of stuff. Fighting, using weapons, And it's crazy because I'm not a violent person. And again, I don't even like the idea of fighting or the blood. I'll do what I have to do, of course, if the situation calls for it, but I don't like the idea of violence. I don't want to ever have to use the stuff that I learned in any of these combat situations. But simply learning the skill, love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I love it. I love it. So, yeah. At this point, my foot is cramped up. I'm hungry. I want to give a little shout out to my friend and coworker, Eric, because he was part of the reason why I was like, okay, let me go ahead and shoot a YouTube video. We were just talking about YouTube and he just asked me like, had I ever done it? And I wasn't going to lie about it. No, of course he wanted to know about it and I told him about it and he was watching my stuff and he was like, you have a great channel. Like, you know, just very encouraging and telling me like I should really take it seriously. People keep telling me like, you know, yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. So anyway, shout out to Eric.